Welcome, everyone, to episode 76 of 1 Hour, 1 Decision, 1H1D. I am Chris.
And I am Tom.
And we take 60 minutes and play a random game on Xbox Game Pass and decide, is there Native Americans in this game?
Where is that coming from? Did I miss something? Totally.
This episode, we're going to be talking about Prey, not the original Prey, made much further back in time. We're going to be talking about the one made by Arkane Studios back in May of 2017. Tom, there was a game, a Prey, before this that everyone was really excited that this game was supposed to be like the sequel to that, which was all weird and all that stuff. Okay. There's some Native Americans and some alien stuff and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, people were super excited about this. But this is completely different.
Okay. See, I needed that context. You teed that up and I was like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. There are definitely not Native Americans in this.
No, there's not. But as usual, I play this on the PC and it was 37.99 gigabytes on the PC. What about you, Tom?
They were able to shave off 190 or so megabytes. 37.8 gigabytes on Xbox.
Well done, Arkane Studios. Again, this is an Xbox studio now, Arkane Studios. Yeah, because Bethesda is part of Xbox.
Buy them all.
Buy them all. Catch them all.
Yeah, it's like Pokemon, but with money.
With money and developer studios, yes. What kind of game is this?
I see a slight discrepancy between yours and mine. I have first-person sci-fi horror.
Ooh. FPSH, huh?
Yeah, first position.
I have first-person story shooter.
So, Oops.
Yeah.
So
that's what we got here.
So do you shoot the story? When does that happen?
Well, I mean, you kind of do. The story is shot like in the first.
Yeah, I guess.
Minute or
I guess. Yeah, in a kind of sort of way. Or is it like the gun shoots stories out of it? Like instead of bullets, stories just come out of the gun.
There's a goo gun.
Oh yeah,
but not stories.
No.
Sorry, sadly. But let's talk about that game loop.
Fight alien monsters while unraveling the mystery of what happened to your character.
Yes, that is that's true. I broke it. I deconstructed that a lot more, and all I wrote was figure out how to get to the next objective.
I mean, generally, with any game where there are objectives, that's yes.
Well, I mean, I feel like this game more so than any other game, because, or at least, than most games that we've played, because, as we'll talk about in this game, I feel like every level, even every objective, there is a way. There's multiple ways to approach it, right? And hence that's why I kind of lean towards, all right, how do you get to that next objective? You could just go. This game is not really on rails,
right?
So
with that in mind, Chris, is that one of your likes? Is that on your list of likes?
No, not really.
So are you telling me that you don't like that?
I don't like that, but what I do like, Arkane is fantastic with their art direction. I love their art style. Like, I think you could see their art style like this. They have a particular way of how they model characters and their world and stuff like that. Very intricate set pieces and very intricate character designs. And this is a game also that I think will look good later on. It still looks good. It's a game from 2017. And it still looks great, I think.
Yeah. It looked good on the Xbox One. I can confirm, sometimes you get a better look on your PC than I get. But this
true.
was one where, yeah, it looked good.
Yeah, they did a good job with that, and it's a first person shooter.
I'm guessing you saw your feet.
I saw my feet, Tom. That was super important. I'm glad I could.
You know, I never check. I should check for you. But there's kind of the reveal here for me, right? When we record these, where you're like, I get to wait. Could I see my feet? I don't remember. Chris is gonna remember though. That's for sure.
I'm gonna remember. I'm always noting that down. Whenever you put a gun in front of me and it's first person mode, I'm gonna look down first and start walking. It'll look ridiculous if someone else is looking at me while I was doing that, but you know, it happens. I'm fine with that. What did you like about this game, Tom?
From the jump, I liked the way it described the different difficulty settings.
Yes.
I appreciate anytime a game developer gets a little cheeky with the player, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And also just, you mentioned earlier, like kind of the interactivity of the world and how Arkane Studios, you know, really does kind of a good level of polish with their games. Like, I was really stunned with how interactive the environment was in your like starting apartment.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is just like, the credits haven't even run yet, right? Like, this is 100% like starting area nonsense. Like, I'm supposed to be here for 5 seconds and move on. And like, I can go over here and I can flush the toilet. I can go over here and mess around in the fridge. And I'm like, wow, like if they put this kind of detail into this nonsense, you know, like totally worthless area, like imagine the kind of things that are going to happen later is how my brain went. So.
So Tom, do we talk about, I mean, this game is now 5 years old. Do we talk about the initial plot twist that happens? It is in the first hour.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably in the first 10 minutes.
I think we have to. Because I don't think we're going to be able to avoid it.
Yeah. I thought it was a good twist. It was a very cool twist, I thought. In the game sets itself up. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but sets itself up to almost be like Half-Life. Like that kind of, I had that feeling of like you're the scientist, you're going into your first day or whatever it was, and stuff happens. And then you're like, oh, okay. Like I was like, oh, okay. They're just kind of going through the motions of Half-Life, blah, blah, blah. And then they throw in that you're part of a Truman Show. So
I think it was totally rad, like that reveal and the revelation of all this kind of near future tech. I love science fiction that I believe in. Like I love the science fiction that I'm like, yeah, I might live long enough to see this.
Yeah, it was pretty close to the stuff that we can imagine ourselves using. I don't know about sticking stuff in my eye, but that's a different story. But the other thing, I guess, thinking about it now is, you're part of this Truman Show, but like your character is pretty high up there in this particular corporation. So it's like, why is she or he? Forgot about that. You can change your gender in this game.
Yeah.
So I don't get that. I don't get why this person would subject themselves to this, but that's part of the mystery of this story.
Well, sometimes, you know, if you're a scientist, you have to take risks, right?
That's fair. That is fair.
You do it for the science.
Yeah. Yes. And to your point about the difficulty slider options, I did appreciate that there is actually a mode called story, which is what I played it in. I played it in story mode.
Is that the absolute easiest one? It was.
Yes,
right? Yeah.
Absolutely. It's not that the game was any easier though. I'll be honest, but in a different way.
Okay.
I also thought, like, again, going back to the polish, the UI itself was very, very neat, like very clean, and wasn't obtrusive. Yeah. Like it like as you're walking around, I didn't even notice that there was a health bar or anything like that. It just kind of like blends into the world.
Yeah.
And into your like point of view, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, anytime if they can do that kind of stuff seamlessly, like talking about seamless, I'm going to steal your thunder and jump from here. Like the way they integrated the credits sequence into that helicopter
Yes,
ride, I was like,
yes,
this is so rad.
yeah,
Like you're it's like the guy's like flying you with the helicopter and he's like, oh, take out that great view out there, and you look to your
yeah,
side and it's like, oh, Arkane Studios presents.
yeah. Yeah, it felt very cinematic in
Yeah.
that way, and then you find out it really was cinematic because
Yep.
you were in a fake helicopter the entire time. So that again, that whole reveal of like you being in this kind of made up environment was really cool.
Yeah.
Um, even though I only got to use one weapon in my playthrough, it was a pretty cool weapon, the glue gun.
Yeah.
I don't know if you picked up anything else on your playthrough, but
I don't think so. I feel like I was
yeah.
meleeing things.
Mm. Yes, the wrench,
Yes.
which is totally a rip from Half-Life. Well, I mean, Half-Life had a crowbar. This is a wrench. It's like, okay, cool, we get it. So be it. What about anything else you want to bring up there about things that you liked?
No, I think I've touched on all of mine. Do you have any, or should we move on?
I think the idea of the enemies was pretty cool. The mimics,
Oh yeah.
the aliens, where they can take form of anything. I was just at that point just swinging away my wrench at anything and everything, and then eventually they popped up. So that idea was kind of cool because you are picking up stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So that was good. So let's move on to what we didn't like about this game.
Chris, this is another game where they're trying to sell me expansions before I start the game.
That's so weird. That's so weird that you had that problem. I didn't get that on the PC.
No,
No,
the start screen didn't have a buy this thing.
no. And you know what? I'm actually surprised because it was the DLC, like that Moon Launcher DLC or whatnot.
Yeah,
Or
I'll be honest that I didn't look at it. I just got mad and
you
started
just
the game.
it. So I'm surprised that that's not part of the Game Pass, options here.
Yeah.
That is kind of disappointing to hear that the DLC, especially for now a first party studio, is not available on Game Pass. Like, what gives with that, man? What gives, Arkane? You didn't take enough money from us?
No, I guess not.
So going back to your question about the almost sandboxy way of playing this game, I don't like that. I don't like. I think I have to be like in a particular mindset for that kind of game.
Okay.
Like, I don't mind playing, for example, like Hitman is very sandboxy, right? Like, it's like a lot of trial and error and all that stuff. I'm okay with that because I know what I'm supposed to do. My objective is to take this person out. So it's like, okay, figure that out. Cool. But like here, there's a story involved. There's things that are happening in the world. And I'm like, what? Like, just put me in my cart and let me go. Like, push me down the rails, please. That's what I want you to do for these kind of games, especially when it's a story mode. I will say I don't like that. What about you, Tom? Are you a fan of that?
See, I don't mind the freedom. Like, to me, that didn't register on my likes or didn't likes. It didn't jump out at me either way. I guess it was a good mix. It wasn't like so far into the like do whatever you want that I just chase butterflies. But it wasn't so railroady that I felt railroaded, right? I guess do that, this is the right amount for me.
There's a couple of times during my playthrough where I got confused as to what I'm supposed to do next. I know there's the objectives, you got your waypoints, stuff like that, but it was still like, okay, how do I get to X? Like I think during my playthrough, I didn't get to the point where it was like getting to someone's laboratory or whatnot, but I was talking to a friend about this a little bit later, and he's like, yeah, you're supposed to like read and do a lot of listen to audio logs, stuff like, and I hate that. I hate reading and I hate doing the audio log stuff. It's just like,
See, I was doing all that stuff and I never had a problem. That's probably what it is.
See, that's the thing that like Arkane, like the whole setup of the first 5-10 minutes of the game, they did such a fantastic job of like showing you the game, right?
Yeah.
By going through the characters and stuff like you're not reading anything. It's like they do such a good job of those like kind of scripted moments. And it's like, why could if they did more of that, I would have been like, this game's awesome and whatnot. But I just I don't know. I get it. I'm sure that their writing and everything is fantastic, but I don't mind reading a book. I don't, but when you put a book in my video game, I get a little annoyed.
I'll say like okay. That. All right. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Different strokes for different folks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's something that I know that we're going to agree on, which is jump scares in the dark. Like, does this game want me to have a heart attack? Like horror games, why are we constantly playing them? Can we not? Can we just do something else? We got enemies hiding in plain sight. They're right in front of you. I can't see them. And then they're jumping out of my peripheral vision and trying to murder me. And I'm swinging this wrench around, doing my damnedest.
Oh my gosh. And that was the thing. I felt like that kind of got stale quickly. The mimics, like they could be anywhere and all this stuff, but I was like, okay, like at that point I'm just going into everyone just going like this, swinging my wrench at anything and everything until they pop up.
You're doing the Bart Simpson. I'm just gonna swing my arms like this.
Exactly. I'm just doing that. So like I felt like combat was a chore at that point. Like that's all I'm doing. Like anything could be a mimic. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna do that the entire
beat
time.
Up everything.
Yeah, just beat everything up
Punch,
until
kick.
Something. Yeah. Too bad I couldn't kick. That would have been great.
Hey, what else? What did you think about those scientists and their tone with you while they were testing you? Huh?
Yeah, but they were kind of jerks.
They were totally jerks.
But like. I was okay with that because they did a good job of just showing some sort of characters.
Yes,
stuff like that.
That's true. I don't play video games to be demeaned by NPCs. To be demeaned and scared, and it's just like abuse. All kinds of abuse this game did to me.
Oh yeah. And abuse for me also is when you have to pick up all the stuff in the world.
Yeah,
which I mean, it is again, it's cool that you can interact with the world. It's done very well, but like I gave me my thoughts of Fallout 76 again, where I'm just picking up random crap. I don't know what to do with it, but I got to the recycler. Yes. I know you put this in your notes too.
I did mention it.
And you can take all that junk and throw it in there.
Yes.
And get something. I don't know what you do with that stuff, but you get stuff.
Resources.
For what? I don't know. You're a scientist.
To build things.
Yeah. Well, I didn't build anything my playthrough.
It did have a handy like scrap all the junk button. So you didn't have to manually pick it all. It just was like, this is all garbage. None of this is useful. It'll just turn it into resources. Cool.
Right.
And you go, yeah, that's cool. And I was like, oh, thank you, game. That was very helpful. I went from having a completely full inventory to having plenty of space.
Yeah, again, they had a fantastic job with the inventory. So, what else? Anything else you want to bring up about dislikes?
Other kinds of abuse that I experienced. The load times were terrible. Ooh. They were so bad, and they were not hidden. I'm just staring at loading. It was useful to me to write down my notes as I was playing, though. So I guess a little bit of thank you, but also like if you're not reviewing this in an hour time, that would have been really frustrating.
That's true. I didn't have that kind of issue on the PC, but
good.
I can see that being frustrating for sure.
And I have one other thing that really ticked me off, and that's I'm really tired of the I don't remember what happened to me plot.
Yeah.
Every adventure game is like, oh, you got hit in the head, you were dumped in a river, you were shot out of a cannon. I don't know. Like nobody remembers what's happening to them ever.
But you your character does talk to yourself and be like, hey, this is kind of this stuff happens.
Yeah,
So
I guess like in universe, there's an explanation, and your character
yeah,
tells you that you erased your own memories.
right.
And I'm like, oh, okay, fine. You have an explanation. And I got to the explanation within the first hour. So I guess
Yeah.
that's all right.
Yeah.
But also, why would I do that to myself?
Yeah.
Seems like just a
for science. For science.
Seems like a frou-frou game mechanic-y reason. Because plot.
Yes. So, shall we talk about other notables? Anything else you want to bring up outside of dislikes?
So it's funny that you went so into depth about how much you disliked it, but there are lots of nuggets of lore all over the place. There are emails, audio logs, all kinds of things. So if you like the setting and you like all that background detail, like Tom does, then it was pretty cool. Like I love great world building, and this game has a lot of that, a lot of attention to detail, just across the board in terms of interactive environments, but also just like they really went all in with like sculpting this world from top to bottom, so
yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. This game also, as I was playing it, I felt like this is where they had the seed for the game that gets released much later in Arkane's world, Deathloop.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you get knocked out, you come back up and you're like almost restarting again. And in fact, the DLC that you got pestered with is very similar to the Deathloop mechanic, from what I understand.
So and the inception of that.
Right. It's the inception of that game and all that stuff. This game does have Xbox Cloud saves and Xbox Presence and all that stuff. Doesn't have Xbox Cloud Play, unfortunately. But that's okay. Maybe one day. Who knows? All this stuff. But Tom, what are we doing with this game?
Ooh, Chris.
Are we gonna crush it like a mimic? Or keep it?
My hour really flew by on this one. Like I set an alarm for myself, and then my phone goes off and goes, "Hey, knock it off." And I can usually tell if I'm waiting for that alarm to happen, like, oh God, please, when will this happen? It's like, it's a bad sign for the game. And if I totally lose track of time and then that thing hits me and I'm like, that was like 15 minutes. Like, what are you talking about? This is one of those games. I really enjoyed my time with it when I wasn't being brutalized by fear.
Yeah.
But I'm scared that it's going to take a long time to finish. And I don't know if
you Tom,
looked it up.
Yeah, according to How Long to Beat, the main story apparently takes 16 hours.
It's not so bad.
Yeah. Main story plus extra is about 28 hours. Now, Morgan from the Intergalactic Pine Cone told me you can actually beat the game in 5 hours.
Ooh.
But again, I think that's more of like after you played it once, you go back and like how to manipulate the world and all that stuff. So
sure.
So that's interesting. I was intrigued and I almost thought like, can I get to that 5 hour mark? But anyway. So you're not keeping this game? Is that now? Does that sway you?
16 seems reasonable. It'll stay on the Xbox One. We'll see where it goes.
Okay.
Cool. I liked it enough that I would like to go back to it, but I'm not 100% sure I will.
Okay. So this was definitely a tough one for me because the story was interesting enough for me, but like some of the gameplay was just, reading through audio logs to figure out how to get to the next thing, all that stuff. I don't know. I couldn't get into it. So I don't think I'm going to keep this game.
Oh, poor Prey.
Poor Prey. But there's plenty of other games, aren't there?
Yeah. In fact, we need to tell them what the next one is for us.
Yes, but those are our thoughts, people. And let us know what you think of this game. Follow us and say hello on Twitter at TC1H1D or shoot us an email at TC1H1D@outlook.com. Check out our next streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/1H1D And if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, send us a comment down below and we'll try to read and respond to them. We do that. 1H1D is part of the QTB network, and if you like gaming podcasts, be sure to check out Quit the Build, a weekly gaming news podcast. And they got a great TikTok too. Check that out. Or to see the other great shows on there, check out quitthebuild.com/network. So Tom, like you were saying before, we do need to find out what we're playing next, don't we?
We do. But unlike this game, which was selected by the mighty surprise me button, the next game is a request, is it not?
It is. This game is called This War of Mine, and it's been requested by Cowboy from our frenemies at Welcome to Game Corp. It's another great podcast. It's kind of a scripted show where they kind of review 2 games and all that stuff. So yeah, This War of Mine is our next game that we're going to be talking about. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.